What are the areas where children have explicit rights? That's a big question. One that I think is really interesting, which is medical care. The Health Care Consent Act in Ontario does not have a specific age at which a child can determine what they want and when they want it. It presumes that even minors, a person, can tell what they want and has been informed about what the effects are of either doing the thing, the treatment, or not doing it, is allowed to make that decision. Another area where they have rights is when their parents separate. Whether they're married or not married, children have some pretty significant rights under the current legislation. So the Divorce Act over the years has evolved to include children's rights. At the very top of every parenting provision is this: judges are required to make decisions in the best interests of the child. Best interests have evolved over the last 100 to 150 years. Before we had a Divorce Act, mothers tended to get the children post-divorce. That was standard, unless they had been the ones who had had an affair. Then often dad got it. So it had nothing to do with what was best for the child. By 1985, when the Divorce Act was amended again, we had evolved to understand that the best interests of the children includes things like, what are their familial connections? To whom are they most closely attached? Where do they go to school? What plan does each parent have? So these are rights that a child has. So that's part of the legal framework in Canada. Sitting on top of this legal framework in Canada, we have an international treaty that Canada has signed on to called the UN Convention on Rights of the Child. So the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child captures some very basic principles that all the countries who sign on to it must adhere to. One is that all decisions about children must be reflected in your legislation to favor the best interests of the child. 150 years ago, kids got nothing to say about anything. We didn't value children's lives or their needs the wonderful way that we do now. What's best for children may not always be something that parents like.